Thank you. The gentleman yields, and I now recognize Mr. Menendez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you for your service to this country. Thank you for being a man of integrity, because that somehow got lost today. You wake up every day and you serve this great country. So thank you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you to you, your department, and the public servants you serve with to protect the American people. I also want to apologize to not just you, but to anyone watching, to the staff of this committee, of all of us, for what you've had to experience here today. We are so much better than this. Our country needs us to be so much better than this, and to think about the origin of this committee as a select committee put together after 9/11 to find ourselves here today, engaging the way that we are is unacceptable, and we shouldn't accept it. So many challenges this country faces, this committee has jurisdiction over that we need to address together. So let's go through some of those things, Mr. Secretary. Your department defends our nation against cyber threats to a wide range of critical infrastructure. Is that correct?
We do, Congressman.
And that critical infrastructure ranges from commercial facilities to emergency services to transportation systems and beyond. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, Congressman.
These cyber threats often come from certain hostile nations like Iran, China, Russia, and North Korea. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, Congressman.
Are those states the origin of some of the most frequent and severe cyber attacks on our nation?
Yes, it is. Yes, they are.
And would you agree that their targets and methods are wide-ranging and ever-changing and developing?
It's a very dynamic and complex threat landscape, Congressman.
And this would include ransomware, malware, and phishing attacks. Is that correct?
Yes, they come from adverse nation states as well as criminal organizations resident in them.
And you're here to talk about the budget. Is that correct?
I am, Congressman.
Will President Biden's budget proposal allow DHS to combat the cyber threat posed by these countries?
Yes, it does, Congressman. It calls for an increase of almost $150 million for the budget of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency.
And on that point, with this increase, which includes, I believe, almost $100 million for implementing the Cyber Incident Reporting for Critical Infrastructure Act, allow the agency to better understand, manage, and reduce the risks to our critical infrastructure?
Yes, it will, Congressman. We're very grateful for that legislation.
Mr. Secretary, would you agree that domestic terrorism has emerged as one of the greatest threats to our homeland, a threat that has the potential to cause devastation to our places of worship, to our schools?
Yes, it has, Congressman.
Is that why your department designated domestic violent extremism as a national priority area, reconstituted the Faith-Based Security Advisory Council, and provided over $250 million through the Nonprofit Security Grant Program to support physical security enhancements to nonprofits at high risk of terrorist attacks?
Yes, it is, Congressman.
And I'm so glad that DHS is focused on this critical issue, because here, in this committee, as you might be aware, Republicans refuse to include any reference to domestic terrorism in their partisan committee oversight plan for this Congress, which is just completely unacceptable. Mr. Secretary, has your department had to respond to increasingly frequent and severe extreme weather events?
Yes, we have, Congressman.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but emergencies like those aren't unique to red or blue states. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Mr. Secretary, when providing support after a natural disaster, does FEMA discriminate based on the political affiliation of the elected officials from those states or localities?
No, it does not, Congressman.
No, it doesn't. So the $20.1 billion for the Disaster Relief Fund in your budget would help American families recover from devastating events regardless of where they're from. Is that correct?
That is correct, Congressman.
Thank you. My first official trip as a member of Congress was to El Paso to visit the border because we do care about the situation at the border. But I want to be very clear about something. Congress is responsible for passing comprehensive immigration and border solutions to mitigate some of the challenges your department is facing. Is that correct?
Yes.
So let's talk about the border. Your budget provides actual solutions to border challenges, including $865 million for CIS to process asylum cases, applications for immigration benefits, and improve refugee processing. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, Congressman.
So far this year, department has encountered more than 1 million migrants at the southern border. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, Congressman, the time frame about which you're asking?
So far this year.
So far this year, we
The point is
yes,
that you are
that is
preventing
correct.
people from entering the country. So when we talk about the number of instances, We are preventing. The DHS is doing its job, and I would just say thank you for doing your job. Thank you to all the members of your department for doing what you do, and I'm so sorry again that you had to deal with what you encountered here today. Thank you for your service to this country. I yield back the remainder of my time.